social media is letting us know or defining what success is a lot of times, okay? When you're defining success, can you see things that you like? Sure, but I wanted to actually think about what it looks like to work for you because it doesn't have to be wealth. It doesn't have to be money. It could just be being able to take care of your family. Woo! Welcome one, welcome all, welcome everyone to your place for everything empowerment. I am your host, Tariq Williams, and not only I am Vision of Hope, but we are Vision of Hope. It's the we thing here. It's the we, it's the movement. Let's get after it. Welcome back to the Speak Your Vision podcast, where we don't always speak our vision, but we execute it and we bring it to life. All right. And this episode, let's talk about it. So, do roadblocks actually exist? Are roadblocks a real thing? Gaining clarity on success and failure. So, we're going to use gaining clarity on success and failure today to help us out on do roadblocks actually exist, okay? Roadblocks is a word, it's a thing, okay? We're not just talking about blocks here with Bob the Builder. So, in this episode, we're going to discuss what success is. We are going to discuss what failure is, and then from there, give some examples of different successes, different failures, how they come together, failure and success, and ultimately answering the question, do roadblocks actually exist? Are roadblocks a real thing? And then furthermore, if we believe that roadblocks do exist, talking about why they exist. And if they don't exist, talking about why they don't exist. And that's how we're going to wrap up the episode today. So first and foremost, let's get to it. So, success, all right? Success is a really it's a topic, okay? It's a topic, it's a thing, success. I mean, people want success, okay? But how do people view success? How do you view success? I think that it starts from when we're young, right? It starts from when we're young, and our morals that we have and our values that we gain as we grow up as individuals. So, based on our values, based upon our morals, based on what we see other people having, possibly, what gives us positive reinforcement? See, everybody wants positive reinforcement. And so, for example, if you start talking as a kid, you get positive reinforcement because you're trying to learn how to talk. And so that's just one of the things there. Okay. So success really getting to whatever that destination is. But where it gets interesting with success, especially in this day and age, a lot of success seems to be extrinsic these days. Extrinsic meaning coming from the outside. It truly seems that these days we really define success specifically on the things that we're seeing. So, for example, we see the fancy car on social media, or we see that superstar or that celebrity has that thing, or they're doing something, so that makes it cool. Okay, you know, um, who knows? John Cena wearing particular shoes, that makes the shoes cool. Okay, um, it's interesting. So social media is letting us know or defining what success is a lot of times, okay? But we have to recognize when it comes to success, if you see something you like, you really need to have an intrinsic feeling within, okay? So I want when you're defining success, can you see things that you like? Sure, but I wanted to actually think about what it looks like to work for you because it doesn't have to be wealth. It doesn't have to be money. It could just be being able to take care of your family. It could just be being able to just enjoy your life, whatever that looks like, play video games, whatever that may look like for you. So it doesn't you may learn different things about the world and what's out there from an extrinsic way of what success is, But ultimately, you have to make a connection with it intrinsically. What does success mean for you? Because I can't define success for you. You can't define success for me. Okay. We are different people. Okay. So, what success means for you might be different for me, but we have the conversation and recognize what intrinsically, because you might need someone to bring it out of you to recognize what intrinsic success looks like. So, having these conversations with your mindset coach could really help you with these situations. But ultimately, success has to come from intrinsic. All right. Now, failure. And once again, I just want to emphasize we can't let social media, we can't let the extrinsic define who we are, what we are. The social media, the internet, the society, or whatever, those things don't define you. You define you. Okay? You define you. Now, when it comes to failure, failure being the struggle, failure being the, oh, it didn't happen this time. Failure being the, I attempted to get what I thought my intrinsic success was, and it didn't work out that way for me. So when it comes to failure, is failure a real thing? See, I come across people and they're saying, I don't like to use the word failure. That doesn't make sense to me. I understand that you're working on being positive, you're working on seeing the world in your glass half full sort of way. And I understand that and I can respect it. However, comma, failure is a real thing. If you take a test and you did not study for said test, okay? You did not study for the exam, you got a 23%. Shout out Michael Jordan. You got a 23% on the test. What did you do? You failed it. That's it. There's nothing else to say. You clearly failed the exam. You failed it. And I mean, it's a real thing. Failure is a real thing. So we can't just beat around the bush with failure because you're only lying to yourself in that situation. Now, here's the deal. I know that might come off as harsh for people, okay? But I understand the positive outlook some people are working on having when they say that failure is not a real thing because you're working on seeing the glass half full. Someone asked me the other day, I was in an Uber, and someone was saying how, yeah, like I'm a really, like, I've had a lot of different things happen in my life, and I'm a glass half full type of person. A lot of people, I don't really understand. He was telling me about how people can be glass half empty. Like I am a glass half full kind of person, and I assume that you are as well. And I said, sir, I don't want to disappoint you, but I don't consider myself a glass half full kind of person. And he was confused. That threw him. And I really needed to explain this to him. And so I'm going to explain it to you all today. See, see, the thing is, I'm not concerned about the glass being half full or half empty. I have a glass. I have a life to be grateful for. I have an opportunity. See, it doesn't matter what's in your glass, whether it's half empty, half full, you got a quarter of water, you got no water in it. You got to find a way to fill up the cup, okay? Because if you're only focused on your glass being half full or half empty, you've already lost. You've already lost because you've decided that half full is the bar. Half full is not the bar. Why can't my glass be full? You have a glass. Be thankful for the glass that you have, because be thankful for the things that you have, because you did not have to have those things. The glass is not half full. The glass is not half empty. There's a glass that's expecting you to put in the work to get to where you need to be. And so that is where we get to where we are right now. So do roadblocks actually exist? Okay. Now, do roadblocks exist? Let's just really quickly define roadblocks for a moment. So a roadblock being defined as something when you're along your path, when you're along your journey, something that stops you, okay? Something that stops you from getting to your destination, something that deters you. There is road work, there is construction, there are trucks, there are potholes. Do roadblocks actually exist? So I know what you're thinking, okay? Tariq, you just told me that failure is a real thing. You just told me that failure is a real thing. Therefore, roadblocks have to be a real thing because we're talking about road work. We're talking about construction. We're talking about things deterring you. We're talking about the stop, the roadblock. Okay, Dikembe Mutombo, block. You are stopped. Okay. Shout out NBA playoffs. NBA playoffs, great watch. Great. Love watching good teamwork. But the roadblock, it is a roadblock. Hard stop. Period. No comma. Okay. So, do roadblocks actually exist? The answer is, drum roll, please. Absolutely not. Roadblocks are not a real thing. Tariq, you just told me that failures are a real thing. So, how are you going to tell me that roadblocks are not a real thing? We've talked about loving the journey, okay? We've talked about loving the journey, but you don't really love the journey. But we've talked about loving the journey, okay? See, the problem with your goals and you working towards your dreams is the fact that you believe that they're supposed to just happen. See, your failures are actually the catalyst to your success. Okay? So failure is a real thing. Failures are the catalyst to your success. So what a roadblock implies is that it's a block, it is a hard stop from you getting to where you want to be. And so, how could roadblocks exist? See, the thing is, let's call a roadblock for what it actually is. A roadblock is simply nothing more than something you need to learn to get to where you want to be. It's a lesson. It's a lesson. You had to stumble and fall before you could walk. You had to read before you could before you had the knowledge to learn in school or college or learn the trade. You had to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich terribly before you could start cooking in the kitchen, making chicken. Okay, chicken, fish, baked potatoes, seasoning, all that. You have to understand that roadblocks don't exist because they're what you needed to learn to get to where you wanted to be. To where you wanted to be. Because once you get to where you wanted to be, because see, we're here, okay, where you wanted to be. And I'm adding the wanted, the past tense there on the end because we're working towards where we want it to be, but that doesn't mean it stops there. See, the whole thing is a journey. The whole journey is a journey. Once you get to the destination, the journey doesn't stop. You start creating more goals to deliver the value or whatever it is you want to do. So here's a good example of this. Tom Brady, okay? Tom Brady, you know him as one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Some would say the best. Kansas City Chiefs fans, Patrick Mahomes, Taylor Swift gang might disagree with me. They might be all about the Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. Shout out to the Swifties out there, but you know Tom Brady is one of the best to ever do it. Okay, he was drafted in the NFL draft in the 6th round, pick 199. It's funny. I was listening to a sports podcast, or actually another podcast the other day, and they were talking about, does anybody know who the first pick was in that draft? I didn't know. It was a name that came up that I had no idea who that person was. But yeah, we know who Tom Brady is, right? But in order for Tom Brady to get to where he wanted to be, he had to be considered one of the worst players in that draft. Okay, to have the intrinsic motivation. See, it wasn't just enough for him to get there. He had the intrinsic motivation to work through the roadblocks of being one of the later picks in the draft. See, and just for my non-football audience, okay? Why this is important and where you get drafted in the NFL is that you're guaranteed more money in the very beginning if you're picked earlier versus if you're drafted third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round, you actually have almost no guaranteed money. Okay. So then what happens is Tom Brady had to work through being less than, have his intrinsic motivation within him to work hard to get to where he wanted to be. See, that's a roadblock. You would consider not being the best then a failure. That's what you would consider. And the failure being a real thing, absolutely. But it was just a roadblock to get to the ultimate destination and him being the best quarterback that's ever played the game. Another example of this with myself, okay? I've told you all, I didn't get into the university I wanted to get into for my master's program. I did not. But I've learned so much from that situation that nothing was going to stop me. So even when I was supposed to go to Louisiana for school, there were certain points in time where that wasn't an option. And I made sure that I wrote the letters. I made sure I did the work to make sure that I could get back there because I knew that was the education I needed to be here speaking to you all today. It was the growth I needed. It was the evolution. It was the journey. I needed to be told no. See, when it comes to failure, when it comes to that failure and these roadblocks that we're talking about here, you have to really want what it is you want. You can't just, I'm going to be successful tomorrow. No, it doesn't work like that. You got to give it your best each and every day. Your best. Your best might look different every day now, but you have to give it your best. See, and with that being said, it's going to take a certain amount of resilience. Are you here with me still? Resiliency. See, people think that resiliency is dedicated to a certain few and far between. For the person that became blind, oh wow, Tariq, you're blind and you're successful. You have your own podcast. You got your master's degree. Tariq, I could never do what you did. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The only reason why you couldn't do what I did to be successful is because you told yourself you couldn't do it. That's the only reason why. And so, what you need to understand is that these things do take a certain amount of resiliency. And if you want to, quick side note, if you want to learn more about resiliency, the brand new guide, 15 Steps to Resiliency, what it looks like to be consistently resilient on a daily basis, check out my free guide down below, the 15 Steps to Resiliency. And let's really have that conversation, really open up your mind here on what resiliency actually looks like for you. Because it's about you. We talked about this. You define your success intrinsically. You may see different things you like, but unless you make a connection with it in your heart and in your soul, you're not going to get it because you're not going to put in the work. So you have to find something intrinsically, what intrinsic success means to you, because it's not about the social media. You're allowed to see things that you like. If you really want to get them, then you got to put in the work. But you really define what that success looks like for you. Because once again, your success is not my success and vice versa. But sometimes we need someone to bring out that success out of us. Secondly, failure is truly don't trick yourself into thinking that failure isn't a part of this journey now. Okay? Because failure is a real thing. Failure is a real thing because that failure is the catalyst to your success. So the roadblock, the hard stop, is not real because what a roadblock really is the lesson you needed to learn to get to where you wanted to be. And where you wanted to be means that you're gonna get there, okay? You're gonna get there. Real quick, funny joke for you guys, okay? How do you set, excuse me, let me change that up. How do you achieve your dreams in space. You plan it out. You plan it out. Okay? You plan it out. Get it? Planet, dream, space, solar system. You know, plan it out. So here's the thing. You plan it out. You visualize what you want. You recognize that it's not going to be perfect all the time. You're resilient through that, and you go out there and you make it happen. Once again, people tell me all the time, Tariq, I could never do what you do. Tariq, I never could start a podcast. Tariq, I could never get my English degree. Tariq, I could never get my master's degree. Tariq, I could never buy my own house. Get your limiting beliefs out of here, yo. Get your limiting beliefs out of here. Are you joking? Get your limiting beliefs out of here. Be resilient. You deserve it to yourself. So, to recap, you define your own success. Failures will be the catalyst to your success. Roadblocks are not real. They're just lessons that you need to learn to get to where you want or want it to be. Put in the work and go make it happen. All right? Now, I talk about this making it happen thing quite often, but recognize that maybe we'll talk more about this later on. But what making it happen looks like is that consistency, it's that hard work, but it's not to get confused. It's not to, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the support, the self care, the giving yourself grace, all things that are super important along your journey for all these different things. So, with all this being said, be resilient. Go make it happen. Go check out the guide, 15 Steps to Resiliency. Go make it happen. And remember, potential is only unachieved greatness. So, what are you going to do with your potential? Thanks for listening to the Speak Your Vision podcast. And remember, not only I am Vision of Hope, but we are Vision of Hope. It's a we thing. Vision.